Hey everyone, welcome to r/Tales from the Jobsite, where I bring you stories from around the web that show some of the stranger sides of construction, remodeling, and more. Since I've been around various forms of construction most of my life, I figured this would be an interesting episode to start throwing in here and there through the week. So, I hope you enjoy. If you got any stories of your own, feel free to give them to me in the comments or through email at who'syouruncle@gmail.com, and let's get on with the stories. She's a few berries short of a patch. When we bought our last house, it came with a run-down side plot of land. It looks like it was a garden once upon a time, but now it's overrun by plants, rubbish, old bits of burnt cars, and spray paint. We clear the land and cut back the jungle of weeds. While I'm sweeping the remaining broken glass and filth, a little old lady appears at the entrance. Woman: "Oh, this looks so much better." Me: "Thanks, it took a lot of work. It's all going to be..." Woman interrupting: "This used to be stranger number one's garden, you know." Me: "Oh, really?" Woman: "Stranger number two and I used to come down here and pick the blackberries. It would make him so mad. Right over there." He points to the massive blackberries growing up a wall. Me: "Yeah, well, I wouldn't want anyone picking them now with all the broken glass around." Woman suddenly sour: "Well, you would say that." She storms off. I don't know what to think, but to be honest, I'm glad our little chat is over. That weekend, the builders fit a temporary fence around the garden to allow for excavation and scaffolding. I get a call from the builder the next day. Builder: "There's some lady here trying to get into the garden. She's now saying you gave her permission? We can't let her in, the whole ground's dug up." Me: "What? I didn't." "Oh, is she an angry-looking pensioner?" Builder: "Well, yeah." Me: "Tell her that they sell blackberries at the supermarket." Apparently, she screamed and shouted at the builders, but still tried to get in several times while all the work was carrying on, despite being told repeatedly that it wasn't safe and no one could get the blackberries. We even had the police turn up, but they quickly understood once we explained that she had no right to be there. When all the work was done, we had a locked, sturdy gate fitted. I still see her once in a while on the cameras trying to force her way in. The sense of entitlement among people who have done things for years just because they got away with it doesn't mean they were right. They just got away with it. That sense of entitlement just amazes me. A little ignorance will kill you. I'm a handyman, and a customer has asked me to do some interior work in a crawl space. However, since this is a house that is still being built, the power hasn't been hooked up yet. There's a generator on site, but due to a few issues, I would have to take the generator up into the crawl space to make effective use of it. Me: "I'm sorry, client, but I can't do the work that you're asking." Client: "Well, why not?" Me: "Because that would require me to take the generator up to the crawl space with me. It's not safe." Client: "What are you talking about?" Me: "Well, the generator puts off carbon monoxide, which isn't safe to breathe, especially in an enclosed space like that." Client: "A little carbon monoxide won't kill you." I then had to spend the next 10 minutes explaining to the customer why that was wrong. They eventually agreed to put the work off until the electricity was hooked up. Holy cow! A little carbon monoxide won't kill you. Have these people been living in that crawl space for all these years that they don't know what carbon monoxide can do to a person? Meh, breathing's overrated. Good thing the boss didn't overreact. Overreact. Keep that in mind. I'm a commercial electrician, which means I work on fairly large projects on a few acres of land or multiple story buildings. We construction workers tend to screw around with green hands. New workers. Often. Some of us dislike it. I particularly don't like it, but this kid is on a new level. We're having a slow day, mainly waiting on material. Foreman: "Hey, green hand, can you go check with supply manager to see if we have any fallopian tubes?" A few of us stifle laughter, but I'm thinking there's no way he'll fall for that. Green hand: "Fallopian tubes? How many?" Foreman: "1 or 2 is fine." Green hand: "Okay, I'll be back in a bit." All of us burst out laughing after he leaves, even us who normally would stop it. It's about a 5-minute walk to the supply area. The rest of the story I am informed of later. Green hand: "Hey, supply manager, do we have any fallopian tubes?" Manager, without skipping a beat: "No, I don't think we do. You should check with the superintendent. He may have an idea." He walks to our super's office, which is another 5-minute walk. Green hand. Hey, superintendent, do we have any fallopian tubes on order? He asked this in front of a lot of higher-ups, and our superintendent normally doesn't have tolerance for people screwing around, but Green hand caught him on a good day. Superintendent sighs and grabs his radio. Superintendent on the radio. Who's screwing with the new guy? Because I have to admit, that's pretty funny. He says to Green hand, hey kid, when they ask you to get a part you've never heard of, Google it before asking anybody next time. The Green hand looks confused, pulls out his phone, and then pulls out his radio. Green hand on the radio. Funny, guys. Very funny. Some people might find it mean, but the Green hand learned 2 lessons. Always check, and if it sounds stupid, there's a 70% chance it isn't a part or tool. Yeah, growing up around construction sites and things like that, I consider that to be sort of a rite of passage, as long as it doesn't go too far or put anybody in real danger. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've sent guys to go find boxes of toenails, sky hooks, board stretchers, you name it. No work and all play makes Jack a broke boy. My aunt recently moved into a new house and has to do some renovations, so she's hired a worker from a local construction company to do so. He set off a big red flag on his first day on the job. He was asked to clean out the gutters, and yet he didn't bring a ladder. This meant he had to climb out of the window onto the roof to clean them, dealing with some damage to the shingles in the process. For some reason, my aunt still goes with this guy. Unsurprisingly, it only gets worse. The next day he comes in to install a curtain pole on one of her second floor windows. When it comes out crooked, this happens. Aunt, why is this thing crooked? Worker, what do you mean? It's up there the right way. Aunt sighs. Okay, measure it again then. The worker uses a tape measure instead of a bubble level to see if the curtain pole is level on both ends, using the soft carpet to base it on. Worker, again, it looks level to me, ma'am. The aunt pauses. Okay, repeat what you just said to me and think about it. The worker pauses and, I said it's level? Aunt does a mental facepalm. At this stage of the renovation, she now has several big, ugly holes in her wall due to the worker having to realign the curtain pole. On another day on the job, the guy says he'll install plumbing and connect them to some washing machines in an upstairs room, which my aunt bought specifically for the new house. She gets back from an errand and no progress has been made on the room or the washing machines. My aunt looks on her back porch and catches this guy talking on the phone to one of his friends about a potentially lucrative music commission he got assigned, as he is apparently a composer as well. My aunt, who the guy still hasn't noticed, loudly announces that she would like to see how it turns out. The guy doesn't last too much longer after this. When my aunt texts the guy to tell him that she's changing to a different company, no surprise there. He still has the gall to try to guilt-trip my aunt into paying through their last series of texts. Worker, I'd like to remind you that you still have not paid for my services. Please do so as soon as possible, as I'm struggling and need to put food on the table for my family. Aunt, man, are you serious right now? I told you in person why I'm not paying you, and apparently I have to tell you again. When I asked you to clean the gutters out, you didn't even bother to bring a ladder. When you installed my curtain pole, you didn't even bother to use the proper equipment to see if it was level. Instead, half-aing it using a tape measure and the carpet, and left a bunch of holes in the wall you didn't even bother to offer to fix. When you were told to install plumbing upstairs, you not only did nothing during the time I was gone, which should have been more than enough for you to get started at least. No, you spent that time talking on the phone about another job. That's an entire month down the drain with almost no progress on my house. You want your money? Go find a client for a commission. Of course, with an experience like this, it sure as heck won't be me. Do you want to know why you're not getting a darn cent out of me for this job? There's your reason. There are your reasons, plural. And I'm sure as heck not going to regret this. I am more than perfectly capable of doing most of these tasks. I've moved into multiple houses and performed repairs on all or most of them. I hired you because I wanted to, not because I needed to. Goodbye, and do not contact me again. A few days later, she got a call from the construction company itself saying she had been constantly rude and abusive to one of their employees, and they were also inquiring about the payment. She cleared the situation up and they said they'd look into it. They also said they were now very interested in talking to Worker. Apparently he had been getting similar complaints from lots of his clients. A few weeks later, when she checked the website of the construction company, Worker's contact information was no longer there. Thankfully, the company she switched to actually did the work they were assigned, and her new house looks amazing. Oh boy, just because somebody says they can do the work doesn't mean they can actually do the work. And I'd be very leery of any one guy that claims to be able to do multiple different disciplines. There's little nuances to each one that almost nobody's going to know all of. And besides that, this guy was just a lazy ass anyway, so. Constructing a pretty good point. My in-laws own a building restoration company, mainly dealing with old brick structures. They will not do new construction. City Council meets with local business owners to try to combat low employment rates, especially among people with any sort of criminal record. Mayor: you own a construction company. Why not take on a few more employees with less desirable records? Father-in-law: well, you see, it's building restoration. I can only take on workers with experience in old construction or a background in engineering. Mayor: nothing wrong with training new, hardworking citizens, though. Father-in-law: sounds good, but it won't work. Everyone has to come back clean on the background check. We often work unsupervised in businesses, even the occasional bank after hours. I don't want anything to go wrong. Mayor: fine, just know you're being unreasonable. A few months later, the mayor hires my father-in-law to repair the sinking front steps of his home. He sends out a guy who's 6'4" and 250 pounds and has tattoos from his neck to his fingertips and rippling muscles. He's the sort of guy that you wouldn't want to cross. He's a life and fitness coach and an extremely nice guy. He doesn't know the first thing about repairs. He knocks on the front door with a toolbox, and the mayor just about calls the police. Instead, he calls my father-in-law to ask about him. Father-in-law: oh yeah, he works for me. He applied a few weeks back. I thought about what you said and figured I'd give him a shot. He got out early on good behavior. I think it was a felony assault and possession of narcotics. Mayor: and you sent him out to my house? Father-in-law: well, yeah, you pushed for more felons to be hired. Thought you'd love to see the results. Is he working okay? Or are you afraid he's going to rob the place? As he laughs. He's a good guy, never went to prison, just showing you that image is part of business. He sent someone to actually reset the steps after the call. Oh, God. Yeah, these types of plans always sound good and might even look good on paper, but in practice, it's not always going to work. There are job sites where I have used people on release programs, like you'd have to pick them up in the morning at the jail and bring them back in the afternoon to the jail, things like that. We've also used parolees in the past and things like that. And some of them had skills, some of them didn't, so we had to watch where we placed them just because of the job going right. And I would say probably we batted about a 50%. 50% of the guys worked out well, were hard workers, really were interested in learning and wanted a job and did the right thing. The other 50% either ripped us off, ripped the customers off, did something stupid on a Friday night to get locked up again and not be allowed to go on the work program anymore, or were just hardheads that wanted to just kind of lounge around the job site all day like it was a vacation spot. And I'm sorry, when the margins aren't that great, that's a pretty big gamble to take in a lot of instances. The last bits of realization. It's a very hot summer and I decide to wear my favorite dress. I've had it for years and it has lost its elasticity. It's not the most flattering dress anymore, and since I'm overweight, it adds a few more pounds visually. However, since it is hot, I decide to go for comfort instead of style. I'm heading home from spending the night elsewhere, and I come across a construction site blocking my path. I need to go to the other side, and there's literally no other way to get there unless you cross that site. Construction people have made a safe path, and employees are present to help people if needed. I head to the small stairway. Employee: Miss, wait, one moment, I'm coming. A middle-aged man runs towards me. He doesn't hurry, he actually runs. He offers his hand. Employee: mind your step, miss. One more. Do you want me to take your suitcase? Me: oh, no thank you, it's not heavy. The man stays close to me over the sandy path. Employee: must be getting heavy for you in this heat. Me: oh, not really, I'm fine. We reach the other side and the man offers his hand again and helps me out of this sandy pit. Employee: good luck, miss, with the last bits. I thank him and am amazed by this kind and chivalrous behavior. By no means was the man pushy, he was genuinely being supportive and kind. I continue, and halfway I come across to someone I hadn't seen for years. Acquaintance: oh, hi, OP, you're looking great. When are you due? Then it hit me. The dress made me look pregnant. The man who just helped me thought he was helping a heavily pregnant lady. But I'm sorry, sir. I'm just fat. Well, I'll give the old guy 2 points for not mentioning pregnancy, like your friend did. Most of us guys, even if we're thinking it, don't usually say it out loud because we know what kind of trouble we'd get in, especially if we're wrong. Not closed-minded in a very big way. I'm a customer at a sandwich stand located just outside a shopping mall downtown. The mall is encircled by a solid metal construction fence as it is in the process of being rebuilt. The surrounding street is all dug up and closed for traffic. There's dirt everywhere and no one is inside as the place is obviously temporarily out of business. The mall's renovation has been fairly big news in the city and was discussed in local newspapers, etc. An older lady with a few shopping bags in hand comes to the sandwich stand and starts talking to the cashier. Customer: "Oh, you'll probably know, miss. How do I find the entrance to the mall over there?" The cashier and I stare. Cashier: "Nowhere, it's closed." Customer: "What? Why?" Cashier: It's being rebuilt." Customer: "What? How am I supposed to know that? There are still signs and all." She's pointing to company logos that are still hanging on the walls outside. Customer: "It's ridiculous. They should post a sign somewhere saying there's no entrance. Someone could be looking for it. And if you're not from around here, they must have just started this all now, am I right?" Cashier: Not really. It's been going on for about 3 months." Customer: "This is just silly. They should definitely notify people about it." And then she walks away. Cashier and me: "But it's been all over the newspapers." We just looked at each other perplexed for a moment while she carried on through piles of dirt and a closed street. So many people live their life in their own little bubble to the extent that they have no idea what's going on around them in town, in their state, in the country. Hell, some of them don't even know what's going on in their own house. Sound obviously travels backward in Australia. When I'm in 9th grade, my school is demolishing an old science building and building a better one in its place. Part of the school is blocked off and it's very loud. It's annoying, but okay most of the time, except in my Japanese class. The classroom is right next to where the construction is taking place and it's very frustrating during our lessons. The floor is vibrating from whatever they're doing 10 meters away. The class is discussing it. Sensei, sarcastically: "It's okay though, the school said they would buy me another whiteboard so that the noise wouldn't be so bad." Us, confused: "What? How would that help?" Sensei: "They said they would get me a new whiteboard for the opposite side of the room so that we could face the other way. Then the noise wouldn't be so bad because we would be facing the other way." Obviously, we all found this logic hilariously stupid. We decided to try it, facing the other way. Surprise, surprise, we could still hear the sound of the construction just as loud as when we turned around. I know they had good intentions, but seriously, you would think they would understand how sound works. Yeah, that is kind of dumb. The only solution there is to have the construction done at night or relocate the class until the construction outside the room is done. Oh well. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you've enjoyed this content, would you do me a favor and please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. See ya!